Hi, my name is Paul and I like to go places. And in today's video, the place we're going is bankruptcy because I just bought a Jeep. Yep. So this is a 2006 Jeep Wrangler TJ Rubicon, however you're supposed to say it, but yeah, this is pretty much, I think, the one of the top trim packages you could get for 2006. And I think we'll just basically do a quick tour of what is on this Jeep and what I plan on doing with it in the future. I don't think I'll go too much into specifics about all of the technical specifications because, I mean, you can just look that stuff up. So yeah, I think I'll just go over my plans for this. So this one is mostly stock, which is exactly what I wanted. I wanted to start off with something where I could build it as I please, and this one had a few add-ons which were specifically things that I would have been doing anyway. Starting off at the front here, a winch, because I don't think I would feel safe doing any advanced off-roading without having some sort of backup plan to get me out of trouble. So definitely glad that that's on there. I think this is the steel line one or whatever. If I was buying one myself, I think I would have gone for that synthetic one, but you know, it came with the Jeep, so I don't care. The previous owner, I think, did upgrade these headlights. They're like H4 housings or something. I haven't actually driven this at night yet, so I'm gonna wait to see how it is, and if I realize that it's just too horrible, I might go and get the LEDs or whatever recommended headlights that people use on these. Yeah. The tires, these are a bit larger than the original tires. These are, looks like 265, 75, 16s. I can't remember what the original tire size was, but yeah, this is slightly bigger, and that's fine for me for now. With the Rubicon lift, I don't see any need at the moment to go any higher than this. I think this is perfectly suitable for my needs. We do have this whole frame rack thingy-majig. You know, I should have looked up what the hell these are called, but yeah. That is actually, I'm really glad that's on there, because the previous owner was actually using this with a rooftop tent that was mounted on top there. That is exactly what I'm going to be doing. Now I just need to obviously recover from the purchase of this vehicle, and I think next year is when I will actually invest in a rooftop tent. But in the meantime, the previous owner did also throw in that little luggage rack thing, which I may or may not use for anything, but whatever. So under the hood, we have the AMC 4-liter inline 6. Everything on here, from what it seems, is fully stock. And this is where I am going to make some changes because after watching the fuel gauge as I was driving this thing from where I bought it back to my house, I realized that it's probably going to be the least fuel efficient vehicle I've ever owned in my life, and I want to try and get every possible amount of efficiency from this engine. So I'm going to throw some random stuff at it. I think I'm going to replace the throttle body with a little one that's a little bit bigger. I think one of those different intake systems, and I think people have been putting on spacers under the throttle body as well. I'm going to throw that on there. I've got tune-up parts coming in, so I'm going to be replacing the spark plugs, and I think I'm also going to get possibly a different set of fuel injectors. I think there was some sort of upgraded injectors that should work a little better, and like little heat shielding on all of it to stop that vapor lock problem that some people have. Where I live, it does get very hot in the summer, so I think that is something I should probably do. I have no idea, but yeah, mainly I'm looking at just doing maintenance. So like these hoses, I don't know if these are the original factory ones, but like these clamps look like factory clamps. So I ordered a set of all the coolant hoses. I might not replace them right away, but I think it's good to have in case something happens. But yeah, I'm basically just doing a full tune-up on the engine as much as I can, and gonna throw some kind of like aftermarket parts on there here and there. The intake, or not the intake, the exhaust manifold, it's the factory one from what I can tell, and I've heard that these things can like I guess crack over time and they leak a little bit. I don't know if this one does, but I did notice kind of like a ticking sound that seemed to be coming from under the hood here. I noticed it originally. I don't think I still hear it because, I mean, this thing makes a lot of strange noises when you drive it. But if that is the case, I think what I probably will do is put on a new exhaust just in case that that one does have a leak. So that's going to be sometime in the future, though. I can live with that one for now. On the hood itself, there is actually one thing I wanted to point out. The previous owner has a lock installed that that secures the hood, because if you're familiar with Jeeps, you know that that's all it takes to open someone's hood. So I was going to try and figure out, had that not been there, that's definitely something I was going to install myself. So I'm very glad that someone had already installed that. And what I'm also thinking about doing, because under the hood it does get very hot, and I get paranoid about super hot temperatures under the hood. What I'm thinking I might do is just get some basic hood venting going on, kind of like around this area here, something like that. Just some small basic vents that I can bolt on and then cut a hole in the hood to kind of let that hot air escape, because yeah, it makes me nervous when I go under the hood after driving it and it's extremely hot. So that is something I do plan on doing. Now, on the topic of frame and suspension, the frame looks like it is in solid shape. What I think I will be doing is just kind of sanding down some of the areas where there's just like a little bit of surface rust and stuff like that. And then, you know, doing primer paint and like undercoating, that sort of thing. One thing that does concern me is I do live in an area that gets a lot of snow, and I also want to drive this around in the winter as well, maybe do a bit of off-roading. So this thing will see a lot of snow and moisture down here. So I want to try and protect that as much as possible, make it last as long as I can. And for the suspension, I mentioned before that the suspension is basically all stock from what I can tell. Yeah, I'm going to be leaving that for the time being, but I will be doing like bushings, possibly the ball joints. I don't think it needs it, but I'll order them anyway. And yeah, anything else that's just kind of like preventative maintenance. So yeah, I think I do also have one of those steering stabilizers coming in, because that one looks like all the factory stuff. So yeah, there's just some maintenance that I'll be doing under there, just to be on the safe side. So on the rear, I'm actually very happy that it does have the hitch receiver already on here, because this is how I plan on moving my dirt bike around, because I've got that like a motorcycle carrier thing, and it always made me a little paranoid putting it on the back of my Toyota Camry, because it has the Class 2 receiver. So definitely glad that the hitch is there, because I will definitely be using that. There's not really much else I'll be doing on the back here. I have no intention of changing these, although what I might look into is like the actual LED bulb replacements, so that it just lasts longer and no concern of burning out. But I'm not going to replace the actual, this whole thing with anything. I like the stock look. So this does need repair. There was some impact damage from, apparently it was like backed into a tree or something like that. So I'm going to try. I went to the junkyard this morning, actually. They had one of these that was like the same color, but that tailgate was not coming off. So what I'm going to do is try to repair that one as much as possible. I'll see about bending it back into a little closer position because I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, it is kind of dented in there as well. So I'm going to try and bend it back a bit, and then I don't think I'm a good enough welder to do anything there. I might just throw some body filler in so that there isn't a hole there. Let's see what else. One of the reasons why I'm glad I got the Rubicon model is because I wanted that upgraded rear end from the stock ones. So I was kind of nervous about you know, having what was it, the Dana 35 rear end on most of the lower trim versions of the Jeep. So yeah, definitely glad that it had the 44, and if I'm not mistaken, the Rubicon has a limited slip rear end. And of course, the Rubicon does also have the lockers in the front and rear differentials. Honestly, that is something that I am probably not going to need for a very long time because I don't have experience with serious off-roading. So yeah. The exhaust is stock, and I think it's seen better days. I actually got kind of dented here, and I actually used vice grips to bend it back a little bit. I'm not too sure if there's actually any holes or anything in the exhaust system, and I don't want anything that's much different from stock, but I think what I might do is eventually get like a catback Dynamax Super Turbo or whatever kind of like the factory equivalent is, that's maybe a little bit better flowing but not loud, because I absolutely do not want a loud exhaust on this thing. So yeah, and I don't think there's really much else to say about the underside. Yeah, and it did get a little bit dirty coming down to the spot. I've filmed here before, and it's off of a logging road, so, or decommissioned logging road anyway. So yeah, we're out in the middle of nowhere right now. So I figured I would just show you the mileage. I'm in Canada, so this is in kilometers. There's just over 196,000 kilometers on it, and you'll also notice that there is no check engine light. When I noticed that on the test drive, it was like, all right, I'm buying it for sure. So there's a couple other differences in the interior as well. Security-wise, there is a locking glove box, and it's, you know, metal, so it's pretty sturdy. That I really liked. I've been a little nervous about if I ever take the hard top off and use a soft top. I don't want people like stealing the crap, like my paperwork or something like that, so that's definitely nice. There's also a couple other things in here. This is something that the previous owner installed, or one of the previous owners installed. What this does is it actually controls whether or not the air conditioner comes on when you're in one of these modes where the air conditioner typically comes on. I can't remember, I had it explained to me, but I think if you're trying to like defog the windshield or something like that, typically what happens is it actually kicks on the air conditioner to do that. But if, for example, it's the middle of winter, you don't really want the air conditioner running. So what the owner did before is this switch is installed, and when it's in like off mode, it doesn't matter what you have that set to, the air conditioner won't actually turn on. And then you hit the button and it switches to on, and then it will actually turn on in whichever modes, whichever one of these modes that it will actually kick in. So that is kind of interesting. It's one thing I noticed as well on my Toyota Camry whenever it fogged up in the middle of winter and I had to like de-ice the windshield and stuff. It would want to turn on the air conditioner in the main defog mode, so I had to just use one of the other modes so it wouldn't turn on, because I mean, I don't want the air conditioner running in the middle of winter when I'm waiting for the car to warm up. I mean, come on. Anyway, this does have the 6-speed transmission because it is the 2006 model. This isn't something I necessarily care too much about, but I think I am pretty happy that I ended up with the 6-speed transmission. I will say that there was absolutely no way that I was going to get an automatic. I don't trust Chrysler automatic transmissions, so And if I'm not mistaken, the 6-speed is actually sourced from Mercedes. So, and plus, I mean, a manual transmission, even if this thing fails completely, you can still maybe limp the vehicle home. I've driven my Honda CRX from one city to another without a functioning clutch. And, you know, you can make it work with a manual transmission. And also one of the pluses, if I ever got stuck with a dead battery out in the middle of nowhere, if you're in an automatic, well, you're screwed. However, standard transmission, I could possibly bump start it, and you know, that's another thing that happened in my Honda CRX. I lost the starter at a gas station out of town. All I had to do was push the car a little bit, drop it in first, and boom, I'm back on the road. So definitely glad I went with the standard transmission. And I mean, this is pretty self-explanatory, the 4-wheel drive system. I'm not going to really talk about that. Yeah, if you want videos about off-roading, I would probably recommend you watch videos made by someone who knows what they're talking about. So yeah, other than that, so yeah, we got like the axle lock button here because this is a Rubicon. And then previous owner has some random switches that do things, like one of these controls, there's like LED lights on the front. So actually, on the note of the LED lights, one thing I am not going to do on the Jeep is have giant light bars like across the top or anything like that. I don't do a whole lot of like wheeling out in the middle of the night. And if it is dark and at night, and I'm out somewhere, it's probably because I'm camping and not actually driving. So yeah, I don't need light bars. I don't need anything like that. I'm pretty sure I can make do with the amount of light that already comes out of this vehicle. So yeah, other than that, I don't think there's anything else in the interior here that I do plan on changing at all. So yeah. So for the back of this, I've already removed the rear seats because I need as much cargo space as possible. And unless you've seen one of these things up close, you might think that there's still a lot of room back here. No, you are mistaken. When I got into this thing, I realized just how small these actually are. And yeah, they're smaller than you think. So yeah, so I pulled out the rear seats, and for the time being, I've just got one big container here that I've just got strapped down. So I'll just be probably using that for camping equipment. I did kind of want to make some sort of possibly a shelf system on the sides here with drawers or something for stuff like that. But I'll have to see because yeah, this is a ridiculously small amount of space to work with. So mainly I just need it to haul camping and camera gear around. And also one thing, previous owner did put a fire extinguisher in. That is another thing that I was going to buy myself, but it was already there, so I'm glad about that. And you probably did notice on the outside that this is the hard top. This was also a requirement of mine because I live in like the theft capital of British Columbia. I do not want to be running a soft top and have my Jeep like parked overnight in town. So hard top was definitely required, and I'll be using that probably most of the time. Now, it did also come with the soft top, so obviously that will be an option for, you know, if I'm doing summer trips out of town. But yeah, the hard top with there's a little bit of window tint or whatever. I might want to make that darker, perhaps. I don't know. I just did not want it to be a theft target, and with the soft top on there, you know, you can get a junkie that just slices a hole right in the side of it, and not only did you get your stuff stolen, you now have to buy a new soft top. So yeah, I'm very glad that it had the hard top because apparently those are very difficult to find. So yeah,